Chronic Law, otherwise known as Akeem Campbell, is one of the biggest and most respected dancehall artists in Jamaica. However, one thing Chronic Law is known for above all other artists is just how much music he releases, dropping a new song with a fully produced music video every week, sometimes multiple times per week, and at one point in his career, apparently even dropping a brand new song every day.
So yo, you don't feel like you dropped too much music though?
But this begs the question, why does Chronic Law release so much music? And is this something that every artist should do? Or is this actually detrimental for his career? Well, to answer this question, we need to take it back to how Chronic Law even started releasing music in the first place. Chronic Law actually comes from St. Thomas, where he found his love for music in primary school when his teacher told him to do a project about the ozone layer. His friend Bashi told him, "Yo dog, you know say your body no." And from there, the rest was history. His love for music continued to grow, and by 7th grade, he was writing songs in class. By 8th grade, he had learned to freestyle, and by 9th grade, he actually learned how to produce his own rhythms. At this point, he decided that it was time for him to leave school to pursue music, and that's when he decided to drop out and start recording himself on his own equipment. A number of years later, in 2016, he officially signed to Eastside Records, and the first available track on his YouTube channel was released called God Don't Sleep. A few months later, he would release another song called One Day and another song called Hide My Tears. He would continue to drop music throughout the course of 2018, but most of his songs were spread apart by a few months. But that was until the summer, where he would begin dropping more and more frequently. And when he got his first few songs with traction, like Hilltop Badness and Walk Alone, Chronic Law never turned back. Ever since then, for the past 5 years, he has easily been the dancehall artist to release by far the most music and have the most extensive catalog. However, it's been a common topic of discussion amongst the dancehall community as to whether or not this is a good thing. There are a number of positives and negatives to what Chronic Law is doing, and today we're going to examine whether or not this has been saving his career or if it will ultimately be the thing that destroys it. And then we're going to examine Chronic Law's response to whether or not he thinks he releases too much music. One of the few positive things about this release strategy is that it helps him to at least maintain his relevance. The truth is, Jamaica is such a small place that genuinely, all you have to do to stay relevant is stay in front of the people's eyes. A prime example of this is the TikToker Jaden, who was initially hated but kept being reposted on so many big pages for so many antics over and over that people couldn't help but view him as some sort of celebrity. And of course, he eventually began to be treated as such. This works even more so for Chronic Law because unlike Jaden, he's actually providing quality content. And so even though he oversaturates the market, at the very least when you do click on a song from Chronic Law, it's always going to be good. The final positive thing that I see from this strategy is that it's actually the secret to forming an extremely cult-like fanbase. You see, other artists like Playboy Carti, Lil Uzi, and more underground acts like Osama Sun make sure their fan bases are always extremely well fed with extreme amounts of new music. This is the main part of what forms the extremely cult-like fan bases that they have today. However, this also brings me to the very first negative point of releasing this often, which is the fact that there is a key difference between Chronic Law and the artists I mentioned above. The difference is that artists like Carti and Uzi use leaks and unreleased songs to feed their fans, while they only ever officially released their absolute best materials every once in a while. This allows their casual fans to keep up with them, while their core fan base always has access to new music when they want it. Chronic Law, on the other hand, officially releases on all streaming platforms with a fully produced music video and everything, every single song that he thinks sounds even halfway decent. This strategy completely alienates his entire casual fan base because there's just so much music that it doesn't give them a chance to really find the songs that they would genuinely connect with and potentially become stronger fans in the future. The only people who are able to keep up with Law Boss are his cult, because any new person who does not know him yet and does not yet have a reason to care about him is going to see that he released 3 new songs in the span of the past 5 days and say, yo, who really are gonna sit down and listen to all of that? Which actually brings me to my next point. Because Chronic Law releases so much music, Even the amazing songs in his catalog are not given the chance to become true hits. I mean, listen, Chronicler's numbers are good, amazing even, but if you compare the numbers of his songs on average to someone like Valiant or his contemporaries like Squash and Massacre, they pale in comparison. Is this because Chronicler is any less talented than them? No. But when Squash releases a new song, the fans are actually given time to listen, learn, and appreciate it. Chronicler, on the other hand, releases so much consistently good music that the fans just move on very quickly to the next song, and songs that otherwise could have become hits if they were actually given some attention and care and time to grow, actually end up dying and being left by the wayside. I mean, there are so many songs today that simply became popular because we just kept hearing them over and over, even if they weren't that great. Songs that aren't even half as good as some of the stuff that Chronicler puts out on a regular. But yet there are some Chronicler songs that only have a couple 10,000 views. That should just not be the case. And some people would look at this and say, well, at least he's getting the collective views of putting out all the songs together, so it doesn't matter. Except it does, because everybody in the music industry knows that one massive smash hit song can do far more for you than 10 songs that simply did okay. Take Drift for example, which TJ says completely changed his life despite already being a massive artist with hit songs under his belt. Chronicler would have so many more of these if he actually gave his materials a little bit more time for people's ears to warm up to them, because most times, most people don't really care for a song until they hear it for a few times anyway, which actually brings me to my next point, which is the fact that this country is only so big. You can only give people so much material before you reach the ceiling of the benefits that this strategy can give you. The truth is, Jamaica is such a small country that you're really just preaching to the same crowd over and over. And this is good when you're starting out. However, Chronicler has the entire world left to hear his music. I'm not going to pretend like I know the specifics of how international his music is, but it's not to the level of the other artists that we've discussed on this channel. And it should be, because he genuinely is that big. It's a crime that I hear certain artists playing more than Chronicler, because really and truly, he has the ability to be so much bigger than he currently is. Because the truth is, the simple rule of economics is that when something is oversupplied, the perceived value of it goes down. So if you came to me and said, yo, Chronicler release a new song in a bro, that does absolutely nothing for me. And this is not to disrespect the artist, it's just how many of the people in the community feel. However, recently I came across a brand new discovery that may show that what we the community think might not actually matter. Because apparently Chronicler was actually directly asked about this, and when he was asked this question, this is what he said.
So yo, you don't feel like you drop too much music though?
No, music can't too much. I have songs when you don't know, people listen, and I bring them to said way. Probably not it. Alright, here I go on now. Me love music to a level way. That's why the boss never too bother me like the boss. You see me? Because if we be honest, we love music still now. As I say, we don't appreciate this with that do, but we have another thing too. When we don't do what we not talk about. You see it? Yeah, so whatever really afraid for music that way, but I love music, make me not stop. You see me? So me not really that look for the money out of music like that, bro. God. I do song like how me feel, what go on around me, when me see me G I go through. Cause on every song I go be about me, you know. Some of them about the circle and them thing there. You see me, bro G? So me build tune, so guess what now? And about hit song for me.
No,
you see? A good song where people can relate to. You see it? Yeah.
But on a business aspect though.
On a business aspect,
that's the smartest thing.
As me I tell you, say,
and about the
I
man.
love music. Anyway, if I go in the music, I go eventually go. Yeah, I believe.
Yeah, I remember one day I go up on your video when you drop 3 songs one day and I see all
alright, I'm sure something about when I say business aspect. I know business every time. Remember I say I know the business boss me, you know. The street boss me, you know.
Yeah, I see the truth to that.
Good. I never go ever change.
And there you have it. Chronicler says his reason for making music is to touch the people who need it and bring them through their bad days. And honestly, I have to respect that. I do still think that this could be done in a more effective way, but at least we found out that he has a good reason for doing what he does. And hey, maybe he's comfortable with his current position and doesn't really care that much about being an international artist. After all, Your own personal goals are yours, and if you don't really care that much about something, then who are we to tell him that he should care about it? And speaking of international artists, Drake and Mavado actually had a massive beef with a musical clash and everything, which surprised many people because it's literally Drake. And if you want to find out the full story of how that happened and how they came to hate each other, click the video on your screen right now. And as always, the Dancehall has been decoded.